Oh my God, you guys, my dad is outside doing a speech for the season 3 finale of the Twilight Zone After Hours, where we get to talk to actor Alex Zahara. Come on, let's go see what's going on.
Break your lawnmower?
That's doing great. Love to propose a toast. As the co-host of a podcast that celebrates the Twilight Zone, you don't always get to pick the episodes that you're doing the podcast on, but you do get to pick the people that are surrounding you and that you love the most that help you with this project. So here's to all of you.
Oh my God, there's a new episode of the Twilight Zone After Hours up. I am Steve,
And I'm Kelly.
and here we go.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of Twilight Zone reviews. A journey into a wondrous land of intoxication where a father, son, and guest drink and retell episodes of the Twilight Zone.
There is a fifth dimension.
Stay tuned because your next stop is the Twilight Zone After Hours.
The Twilight Zone.
Everyone, get ready for today's guest is the undisputed king of on-screen deaths with a whopping 40 deaths under his belt, including that insanely brutal lawnmower scene as Uncle Howard in this year's Final Destination Bloodline.
Drinks all around. Family, you don't get to pick the one you get. Just gotta love the one you got.
He's the actor who played 9 different characters in Stargate SG-1 more than anybody else and delivered the mind-bending performance in the Outer Limits episode Tribunal, which we're going to be retelling today.
You have a problem?
No, Commandant Rademacher. I think you do.
With over 150 freaking credits. Good actor Alex Zahara, what's up, buddy? Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, guys. It's a nice pseudo-overcast day in the Vancouver area, so the light is soft upon my face.
Alex, this is so cool. We met you this summer at Horror Fest here in Tempe, and we started walking over, and then you just started chatting us up like, I don't know, I can't even tell. You were so disarming. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So thanks again for joining, man.
Well, my pleasure, buddy. And you know what? I think my parents raised me right. Like, honestly, I'm the social convener of my life and the people around me and stuff. I naturally tend to gravitate towards, I guess, people that are good people like yourselves. And I have a group of friends I'm part of, luckily, for the last 30 years. We call ourselves the Urban Tribe. And we've been friends since like the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And we all just like support each other. We go on vacations together. We're going over to Christmas dinner at our friend's house there. And I'm godfather to a couple of the kids. I'm Uncle Alex to all the rest. So about 30 of us.
That is so cool.
Uncle Alex, that's incredible. So I have like a million questions that I have
Sure.
to ask you, but I want to start off by the point of our show is we do retellings here. We've been drinking Long Island's this morning that he has made that are wicked strong. See, you've got the Descript cup, which is my coffee mug of work, right? You don't know if there's whiskey in here.
It's a beer stein.
I was
but
going to
that's
say
all
that's a
I'm
classic
saying.
German clay stein, so you're doing it right, especially with the telling that we're going to do today.
Okay.
Ja, und ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Ich habe eine Freund aus Deutschland, so.
Sowas gibt es überhaupt gar nicht. Das finde ich ganz toll.
Sehr gut.
Sehr gut, mein Freund.
Yeah, I speak a little of German, and I can understand more than I can speak. I used to be semi-fluent. It was my language requirement. I didn't finish French in high school because my French in Canada, the teacher was just a lovely man, but he would play Edith Piaf records to teach us French, and we're like, what? Anyway, so I did German in university instead, and I have some German friends, and so it worked out. And I've played like half a dozen Germans and Nazis, so it's been great.
Schön gut. Wir werden darüber diskutieren. Das habe ich
Where did
gemerkt.
you learn German?
I lived in Germany for years.
Oh, you did?
Lived with Germans, so.
Nice. Whereabouts?
I was in the Ruhrgebiet, which is Essen, Dusseldorf,
Yep.
Iserlohn, Dortmund, that kind of area.
Right. I've mostly just been to the Hessen area
Yeah.
and near Frankfurt and Ansbach and then Neu-Ansbach, New Ansbach, where my friend
Genau.
lives. Yeah, yeah, there you go.
This is
I
so
had a
cool.
feeling that you had some German background just watching that episode of the Twilight or the
Outer
Outer
Limits.
Limits that you did.
Right.
You naturally injected yourself into that whole persona. So I said, there's something. He knows that German history. He knows that German
Oh yeah. I'm a
background.
I'm a huge history buff, World War II buff, and I'm not kidding. Like, it's funny, we're reading about notes of actors, and who was it just now? I was reading something this morning about, oh God, what actor was it? Oh, I can't remember right now, but just getting into the character, finding out what does he wear, like what kind of trousers does he wear, this, that, like, what does he do on Tuesdays, like doing all this backstory. And I wrote like a really thick backstory for my character for Tribunal because I was playing the Commandant of Auschwitz, Karl Rademacher.
Yep.
So, and my whole backstory I wrote up was like, like he was a Nazi officer and was in like the desert with Rommel, but he screwed up and got a bunch of Nazi officers, but party members' sons killed, and then they took him and assigned him back home to like Auschwitz, and there's no disrespect intended, but this is just his backstory.
Yep.
He viewed himself now as like a garbage man.
Yeah,
he had to handle the garbage because he was been diminished. So I wrote that whole backstory, and when I showed the director Mario as a party, I said, "Hey, listen, I've got this backstory. Do you want to look at it? Whatever." He goes, "No, it's okay. You're an actor. You do your thing." I'm like, "Okay." So there you go.
All right, 30-second story on following up on what you just said. I work for a German-Swiss company, so I'm over in Germany. I've been there 6-7 times a year for 15 years, partially because of my knowledge of the German language before they ever hired me. We had an HR, a young man a couple of years ago. His last name was Rommel, Kevin Rommel. So I asked him in our first meeting, and he said, "Yes, I am the great grandson of the Desert Fox,
Erwin Rommel." Yeah.
So yeah, I worked with a Rommel.
That's crazy. Well, Rommel, I mean, you look at it like Rommel. If things had gone a better way, like I think Rommel. I mean, he would have helped the demise.
Rommel would have played a key role in the resolution of that issue with Nazism, and he would have been a part of that transition to something more correct and more realistic.
Something a little more decent. Let's put it that way.
Maybe. Yeah.
Slightly more. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember the Rat Patrol?
Oh, of course, I love that show.
Every episode, their battle was against Rommel's desert rats and the tank platoons in North Africa. That was the whole premise of the Rat Patrol.
Have you watched the new SAS Heroes? Have you watched that?
No.
Oh God, you got to watch SAS Heroes. It's about the British SAS who got started in the desert, and that's the premise. Is that's them starting and fighting like Rommel's forces, etc. And Paddy Mayne was one of the big leaders of it, one of the main leaders, and he's been renowned as being this like incredible hero. He should have been given the Victoria Cross like umpteen times over, but because he was so irreverent and just give the big double fingers to power and authority, they kind of kept diminishing what he did, and they would never give him the Victoria Cross, but they're still fighting to give it to him. But I just love the history. My grandfather on my mom's side, he drove a tank in World War II for the Canadian Army. He landed on D-Day, and he went in France. His name is Hugh Thornton, and he fought in the Battle of the Falaise Gap. He had like 3 or 5 tanks shot out from underneath him. So I've always been a big World War II buff, and he actually get this. So the last tank that got shot out from under them, like this, they would always getting new lieutenants to command because they were getting killed up in the turret because there was no cover, and he was just sitting there, not telling me to do anything. My grandpa drove the tank and acted as a gunner as well because there was like 3 guys manning a crew of tank that should have been crewed by 5. And he just said, let's get the hell out of here. And he threw it in reverse because this guy was like, frozen, not making a decision. Just after he threw it in reverse, boom, the tank track got hit. And so they all bailed out and ran. and the Germans were shooting at them as they were running away from the tank, but they weren't just shooting with machine guns, they were shooting with tanks.
Yes.
So you hear like, and then boom, boom, because the shells would go past you. But anyway, he ended up separated from his troops, and I'm like missing in action. My grandma was receiving telegrams, "Dear Mrs. Thornton, Hugh's been reported missing in action," this and that. And they basically assumed he was dead, but he had been, get this, he had hooked up with another Canadian division or group of soldiers, and he was getting shot at by them in the field because this guy moved. So he had to tear off his undershirt, fly, like wave it in the air, and he walks up to a tank, and look at the goosebumps. Like, no kidding, they're there somewhere there. They're there, goosebumps. He walks up to this tank, and to surrender or say, "Hey, look, I'm one of you." Tank flips open, and it's his brother-in-law.
Dude.
Yeah, my Uncle Charlie. And he's
wild.
just like, Hugh, what the hell are you doing here? And he ended up, we're fighting with them and staying with them. But they'd already told Grandma that he was basically dead, and she started to receive benefits. And she's telegraphing the Ministry of War here, going, "Hey, listen, he's alive." They're like, "Yes, Mrs. Thornton, okay, But he was alive, and then ended up getting rotated home after that and stuff. But anyhow, there you go. So I've really been
for
into
hours.
So this is fascinating because we have been rewatching your episode, and I have some crazy trivia about this. We're going to be doing a handoff every 30 seconds. He's going to tag in, and I'm going to tag in, and we're going to retell your episode. And then later on in the episode, you're going to be retelling one of my favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone, which is Changing of the Guard, which is season 3, episode 27. So here we go. We're going to start it over. Tribunal from the Outer Limits. So you can just sit back for 3 minutes of nonsense. Here we go. Tribunal has a mind-blowing 8.4 rating on IMDb. That is crucial because not only is it the highest rated episode of all episodes of The Outer Limits, let me get closer for that, every episode in 8.4, it beats 90% of the Twilight Zone episodes. It's absolutely mind-blowing how popular this episode is. It was first aired on May 14th, 1999, season 5, episode 12. If you want to watch this, you go to the Roku channel. It's The Outer Limits, season 5, episode 12, written by Sam.
Well, let's let them watch this first and then go to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Follow his lead. Directed by Mario Azzopardi. There we go. I got it right.
Yep.
Alex, you starred as SS Officer Karl Rademacher. Here we go. The thing with The Outer Limits is they don't have a Rod Serling intro, but they have a very similar thing. The control voice says, "Dad, send it over my way." Ooh, you were going to send it my way too. Okay, ready? Buried deep within the heart of every conflict lies a territory known as common ground. But how do we summon the courage to seek out its borders? Here we go. All right, you ready? 3 minutes on the shot clock. We're going to be retelling Alex's episode in front of Alex. He's got his stopwatch. All right, you see our time.
Don't worry, Alex. We will fail.
We are going to botch this in the hardest way possible.
That's fine.
Here we go. We're going to try to get this right. Here we go. I'm going to start out, and here we go. Okay. So it starts off in a concentration camp, and there are people outside of the fence. It's the same kind of stuff, Schindler's List kind of stuff. And Alex, you play an SS officer that comes over, and you immediately start to harass and intimidate the entire group of people, but specifically a man, his wife, and his daughter. Go.
The most important thing I found at the beginning is you ride in on a horse. That horse to me is critical in the whole episode because when you get off, and that puts you above everybody else, you get off, you feed the horse a carrot. That carrot to the horse was better food than any of those prisoners had eaten in years.
Exactly.
So I thought that the symbolism in the beginning of that was mind-blowing in its importance and impact. So he gets off, he picks the man, a woman in the lineup begs to let him go. He pushes the guy back in line, picks her, makes her sit on the ground, kneel on the ground. He puts his gun to her head and he blows her head off. He kills
Got it.
her.
Okay, so then you notice a guy, and his name is, I want to say it is Nicholas Prentice. Nicholas Prentice is a guy, and he's sitting there in the background of this group of SS officers, and he has an iPad. It looks like an iPad. And they notice him, and they're like, "Hey, what the hell is that? Go get him." So he runs into the barracks, and he puts his hands up, and then he brings out his pocket watch. The pocket watch lights up blue, and whop. Then we have the opening credits. Then it goes over to an actor that we all know, Saul whatever his name is.
Rubenek.
Rubenek, thank you.
Yep.
My God, I love having
Awesome.
someone here. So Saul Rubenek is there, and he starts talking and doing his thing, and he is scoping out this older guy walking down the street from inside his car with a file of folders, this big telephonic lens. Go.
So he approaches this guy. The guy's entering his apartment building. It's out of the car. He challenges him and calls him by his commandant German name. The guy acknowledges it, but doesn't turn and say, yes, that's me. He recognizes the name, but he keeps going in. They end up having a face-to-face challenge where the younger guy, who's a Nazi hunter, Saul, is challenging him, saying, I know who you are, and the guy denies who he is. Next scene, the younger Nazi hunter is in the office of his ex-wife. His ex-wife is a government attorney. He's trying to get
Played
her
by Lindsay Krause.
Correct, to convince them to file charges against this guy. However, her challenge to him is, I need evidence. We need to prove that this old man, who's living under an alias, assumably, is who you say he is.
So then Saul goes over to the retirement home where his dad is, because his dad was literally there. So it's his dad and his mom and then his sister, in theory, that were there. And he says, I need you to be our witness, blah, 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 and come over and do this thing. Then the camera cuts over to the wife, who is the attorney that, well, he goes, hold on a second. He's got the jacket, because it goes back to what's his name, who goes back. Go,
the guy.
second.
There's a third character in this, and I call him the time traveler. So let's call him Mr. T. Mr. T has been following this stuff. Appears to the
Prentice,
Nazi
Mr.
hunter
Prentice. That's I said
in his office, and he says the guy is a Nazi criminal. And here, I know you need proof. Here's his uniform. He gives our young guy the uniform.
Here's your evidence.
Gives it to his ex-wife. She studies it and comes back in a later meeting and says, yeah, the uniform's authentic. Everything is authentic. The problem, there's no DNA. We can't link it to him.
Okay, so then he goes to a bar, and he's at the bar, and then Prentice comes up to him, and he goes, hey, so what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I needed more evidence. I needed more. So then he disappears, and he goes back, and he uses his time travel watch again, and you see him rummaging through the desk of the Nazi officer, and he grabs his envelope, a piece of like a neckerchief with blood on it.
Bloody neckerchief.
And he goes back, and he goes, this should be enough. So he gives him all of this evidence, and then he brings it back to his wife, and they still say it's not enough evidence. It's still not enough.
The part of this that is interesting is the evidence. This time traveler controls all sorts of time elements, so he puts it in a safe deposit box.
That's right. So
in a bank under the name of our Nazi hunter's father, the elderly guy who was the person in the prison camp whose life was saved.
Because the complaint was that it was too perfectly sealed. So he put the envelope, the box this time, so that it would age correctly.
So he leaves the guy the key. The time traveler gives them the key. He goes to the safe deposit box in the name of this young guy's dad, who claims, I never opened a safe deposit box here. But they go there, they open the box, and in this box is his ID, his Nazi badge, the neckerchief with the blood on it and everything else. They take that back to the wife or the ex-wife and say, here's the evidence. She still says this is not enough. So he's frustrated. The Nazi hunter then has a plan. Boom.
We're going over.
What does he do?
I don't remember where you just left off. I was too busy looking at the time. So he goes to his house, and he's at his house, and he's like, I got all this evidence, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you're not going to beat me, yada, yada, yada. Oh, shit. Where does it go from there?
Yeah, you're right on.
I'm so stressed out right now. So go. Just take it.
At that point, time traveler appears because our
Prentice
guy
goes back up.
Our guy is so frustrated, he's just going to kill him. He decides, you know what? The government needs more evidence than we can ever get. I'm just going to go over there and kill him. He's got a gun. He confronts him, and then time traveler appears and says, you know what? We can construct a better plan. We can get even with this guy.
And he takes the watch, and he goes back. Okay, I think are we way over our 3 minutes?
Who cares?
I think we're way over. We're taking shots. So anyway, we'll cut this to the chase. So this is a 45-minute episode. We're trying to get it done quickly. Good practice for next season. Okay, so he takes this. He goes back, and he accidentally shows up. He's got the clock, and he goes back, and he's in there, and he sees his own sister and his dad, and he's talking to them in this camp, in these bunkers, and he's talking to them. And then he's like, I got to go. This isn't how it's going to work. Prentice comes back, and he has a gun to his head, and he's like, you got to come with me. And he takes him back into 1999, and he's like, you can't do this. This is not how it works.
The very end is they confront the old commandant, the Nazi. They make him change into a prisoner uniform, the striped prisoner that we're all familiar with. Together, they go back in time. They go back to the prison camp, and their plan is they're both dressed in German uniforms. The prisoner starts screaming. Once he recognizes himself, he starts screaming, I'm not a prisoner. I'm a Nazi. He does the Heil Hitler.
He does the whole thing.
He does the whole bit. The commandant, Alex's role, who is the classic Nazi commander, says, you know what?
Straight up, he's looking at himself as an old man on the ground, and he's begging, and he's like, dude, I'm you. And he says that I used to have a bike or whatever the fuck he said. He was like, I was you. He starts giving these things. And then what happens in a very gruesome 1999? I'm telling you, man, that doesn't happen today. He puts his gun up, and you see the bullet go through his forehead and out the back of his head.
50 years from now, I am you.
He falls down, and then they take the body away, and then they go back to 1999. He takes him back, and he's got his daughter. It's his daughter that was dead before, but he brings it back, and they're playing their chess in the park, and it's a happy ending. And then what's his name goes back and ends with my favorite part. He goes, you know what? I'm going to have to bring this by the tribunal, the time traveler. And that's bit of the trivia is he's a recurring character. He's done this role 4 different times, and he comes back time traveling different roles. And that's the end of the episode. And I botched it. We're taking shots, Alex. But you know what?
Went over. It was great.
We went over. But
no, it's okay.
Okay.
You because we do time travel, we're extending time, so it's okay.
This is why he's here. Exactly. Right. I'm taking shots because you said that either way.
Go for it.
Lift that German mug.
Cheers.
I don't know what you say in Germany for cheers. What is that? Salute.
We say Prost.
Prost?
Prost.
Yeah.
All right. So I have a little bit of trivia about this one because I really wanted to bring it up. Because this is fascinating. So Sam Egan, the writer. First of all, I gave this episode is an 8.4, an 8.6. Yeah. Astronomically high for an IMDb rating. And I gave this a straight up 10. You compare this to the other kind of Nazi episodes that you've seen.
Absolutely.
This was the first genuinely original idea of time travel with a vengeance. Oh my God, I freaking love that. It was a great episode. Also, it's proof to why this is the highest rated episode in Outer Limits history. Dude, this is freaking cool.
Number one, if there was anyone that I could cast, the way your appearance was, your persona, your attitude, that fit the classic portrayal of a Nazi camp commandant. Your role was beautiful. Riding in on the horse was awesome. I don't know if you actually rode in on the horse.
Oh, yeah.
That was,
No,
that was fantastic. I gave it a 10. I love that whole genre of movies because of my age, my background, obviously similar to your background. I've studied that stuff. I was entranced by the storyline from the very beginning. So I gave it a 10. I thought it was fantastic.
And I think you know a little bit about this, but there's a little bit of trivia. Sam Egan, the writer of this episode, based the story on the episode on his father Leo's experience in Auschwitz during World War II, where his first wife, Syria, and their daughter, Chana Toby, were murdered by the Nazis. The guy that plays the time traveler,
Alex Zahara,
apprentice in Gettysburg and Time, which is in 2001. So that's his third episode in the Outer Limits. Sal Rubinek plays Alan Zerginski, the son of Polish Holocaust survivor Leon Zerginski. In reality, Rubinek's parents, Israel and Frania, were Polish Jews who were hidden by a Catholic woman named Sofira Banya over the objections of her abusive anti-Semitic husband, Ludwig, on her farm outside of Pinskow, Poland from 1943 to 1945. That's a lot of data to go unpack, but damn, dude, this is an important episode and really freaking good. And I can't believe I'm talking to you. This is nuts.
Well, I tell you, it's the piece of television and film. It's the piece of work I'm the most proud of in my life, because it keeps the memory of the Holocaust alive and man's inhumanity to man, and it stands as a beacon to say, listen, we can't let this ever happen again. Yeah. And there's lots of trivia and stories behind that, but I'll just tell you a quick one here, and then if you want to hear more, let me know. But when Leo came on set, he was like 84 at that point, and he wanted to be in the show. I think he had survivor's guilt, like a lot of people who survived the Holocaust did. But he wrote poetry, Holocaust poetry, survivor poetry, his whole life after that, and he was such an incredible guy. I came around the corner. Okay, so they're waiting for me. I came around the corner. And I was dressed in my Nazi regalia, and some of it was actually real. It was from collectors.
Shut
The
up.
suspenders, the suspenders were rusted in place. We weren't allowed to touch them. They had to just stay exactly where they were. So okay. So anyway, I come around the corner, and I'll never forget. Like Leo was standing there, and he turned to look at, and he just like he just flinched at me like this, and then just give me a moment, right? He turned around. I just started to bawl. Like you can see, I'm covered in goosebumps right here. You can see it, like it just.
Me as
Anyhow,
well.
and he said, Alex, I'm sorry, but I have to tell you, you look just like him. I'm like, oh God.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was clean shaven and about 30 years younger and, 30 pounds lighter. And anyway, but the stories that Leo shared, I mean, you couldn't show it. Like you couldn't show what was there because the stuff and how this little girl died. One of the Nazi officers kicked a little girl like a soccer ball and killed her. Yeah. Like this is the stuff that you could not show. And this is why I'm saying we can't let this ever happen again. And just it was just like there was so perfection, like inside the barracks, like against the ceiling, they would have in German like report out your friends, turn in your friends, you will be rewarded. They had and he turned to Sam and said, Samuel, how did you do this? How did you bring this here? He said, no, Papa, we built this. Like they built the sets off the photos and research, etc. Like that show was research to the nines, and like everything.
The writer and the director had deep involvement with the storyline too. So it's very rare. Like Spielberg made a Schindler's List. So you have a horse in the race. You get a passion that you don't typically get from someone else. It feels like that because when you read the trivia on their backgrounds, both of the writers and the directors had a horse in this race, and it makes it insanely homebound.
You know what? Like I said, like Sam, who's been a lifelong friend of me now, well, not lifelong, but like since I met him, right? We've been stayed in contact. He's one of the most beautiful, gracious human beings you've ever met. Talented. He's won more writing awards than you can shake a stick at. But beyond that, he's an incredibly nice human being, a good human being. And he wrote this survivor story as a tribute to his father. And I mean, like, look at the power these people had that they survived, Auschwitz and moved on. Most people, I think, would have collapsed, would have just gone in on themselves. But that's the thing. I had to put myself in the mindset of that. Like when he comes out and apparently the real guy would ride out every morning, take his riding crop and with him his, and go down the prisoners and go tap a guy on the shoulder. You're the lucky one. Come. And he'd put him down, blow his head off. Then they put a little table there and he would sit and eat breakfast, making the entire camp watch while he ate breakfast over the guy's dead body. Like, this is how sick these people were. And that's just it. Like, I had to take that and, work that into my psyche. And they did a bit of a thing where there's a young Jewish woman there and I lift her skirts up a little bit, look at her legs.
Yep.
And she's like, I'll save you for more important things.
I'll save you for more important things.
But this is the thing. This is like almost 30 years later. And the quality of the writing is so good. Like there's things I remember to this day. I remember Shakespeare, the opening monologue to Henry V, and I played Cassius and Julius Caesar, and I did Hamlet in class. Quality of writing you remember. I remember Sam's lines still. I can almost repeat my entire dialogue,
That's
because the writing was so good. It was so good.
Of all shows, The Outer Limits, which is an outlier in mainstream in that it focuses on a genre of interest, UFOs, that kind of thing. This episode, as I watched it, of all the hundreds and thousands of portrayals of World War II, especially Nazism and the concentration camps, the fact that at the end of this show, the commandant kills himself, I have never seen portrayed before. That is unique. To me, that is the ultimate pronouncement of that regime and that whole 15-year history. And I've only seen it in this episode of yours where the villain kills himself without knowing it.
I am you.
There's that bit where he's like saying, like, when Jan Rubisch, incredible actor, he played our character as the older
Green.
Yeah. And he's like on his knees, like looking up, going, when I was 10, my father gave me a green bicycle and I rode it into the river and he beat me.
A green bicycle when I was 10. I drove it into the river.
He beat me.
And at that moment, like my guy just kind of like, how would this guy know this, right? And then just out of sheer like, I don't know what, shoots himself. Like he shoots the old man, you know? But I think that poetic justice is the fact that here's a Nazi destroying himself, and Nazism basically destroyed itself because of its sick goddamn policies, or sick policies, disgusting, and they were destroying themselves from within. Their soldiers, they were giving their soldiers speed in order to stay awake during blitzkriegs and stuff. And they said a lot of the soldiers, that's why a lot of the fighting skills went down, because they were addicts. They created an army of addicts for these guys. But that's just it. And their policies were so disgusting and so soul-rotting that it's the most poetic justice I've ever seen, is like, you know, destroying itself, killing yourself.
And Alex, your role
it's
sets
because
the
of
tone,
you, dude.
Sets the tone in the first 10 seconds.
Thanks.
I bow to you. That was fantastic.
I'm going to say this, you know, it's an incredible group effort. Like, you know, not just the writers, producers, that cast, the rest of the cast, the crew, all the people playing background, everybody on that set was so into creating this story. And every story, there's such dedication in the craftspeople and all the crew and the costumers, and just everybody made this happen. Like they make every episode happen. Like there's really good quality. The effort and quality that people put into these shows is incredible. It's not just
kudos to you. Kudos to
thank
you
you.
that we have you here. That was amazing.
It's all of them.
Amazing.
It's worth the hype to go check this out, and it's amazing.
So bizarre and funny. So Alex Daikun, who plays, that's a proper Ukrainian pronunciation, he plays Prentice. So Alex Daikun, he and I met in 1994 doing a play at the Arts Club Theater in Vancouver, and he walks up and goes, "Hey," and he talks like this. Hey, you kind of like Alex Zahara? Are you Alex Zahara's boy? Yeah. And I said, well, yeah. My dad grew up. He goes, yeah, like we grew up in Northern Alberta together, and my brother was your dad's best friend growing up. And I'm like, what? So his older brother was my dad's best friend growing up.
Wait a minute.
And we're all named. Yeah. So my dad's name is Alex. My name is Alex. And his name is Alex. So
Wow.
very Ukrainian, right? Anyway, so we met there, and he's telling me all these stories of growing up in Rycroft, this area up where my dad grew up. It's just about 40 miles north of where I used to live. And I say miles because when I was a kid, we operated in miles, but it's now like about 60 kilometers, you know. Right. Anyway, but so there's that little bit of trivia. And then I met Saul and Lindsay and everybody. We all, you know, did the thing. And then get this. At the 100th episode party they had, I got invited down. I was going to take my agent. Unfortunately, he was very sick and he passed away. But just like literally, when I returned from this party, this is the thing. He was supposed to come down with me. When my plane landed after the party at 10 a.m., he passed away, which is very sad. But anyway, I took a friend down there. We went to the 100th episode party. I go to a table and let's just sit here. There was no assigned table, so let's just sit here. Okay, great. I come back and there's Saul Rubinek sitting at the table with my jacket. I went, hey, Saul. Hey, Alex, how's it going? And we both talked. How funny. We both sat at the same table, not knowing it. So Saul and I and everybody else go away. We come back almost at the same time. Saul and I returned. There's Lindsay Krause sitting at the same table. We all picked the same table without knowing the other one was there.
That's incredible.
Isn't that bizarre?
It's so weird.
So we sat there and we talked, we caught up, and I kid you not, like as I'm sitting like this around my circular table, right over my right shoulder is Jeff Bridges. I could just go like this and touch it. So I ended up meeting Bo and Jeff because it was also a tribute to their father, Lloyd Bridges.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit amphetamines.
He'd passed away, and they were putting up a $25,000 scholarship for life at Stanford University in his name, because that's where he went. Because Bo, Lloyd, and the grandson did the first episode, Sand Kings of The Outer Limits. So we end up talking, and unfortunately, my dad died 2 weeks before. So we all, the three of us, me and Bo and Jeff, just sat there, and they were two of the nicest people you ever met in my life. Ever met me in life, and we just talked and told stories about our fathers, commiserated because their dad had recently passed. Mine was far more recent, but still, you know what I mean. But it was just one of those special nights where, like, literally the three main people from our episode sat at the same table, completely independent of each other, right next to Bo Bridges and Jeff and their entire Bridges family, and it was just like one of the most beautiful happenings you've ever seen come together like that. It was just. And you see, things happen for a reason and these connections. And, here I work with Alex Dyken on it, who's, go and talk about time travel. Go back like 40, 50 years to when my dad was a little boy and he was pals and they were pals together. And then all these years later, we ended up working together and doing a play together. And then 5 years later or 3 years later or whatever, doing this episode.
It's wild.
That's amazing.
It's wild. The coincidence is it's palpable. So
Crazy.
Meant to be.
So I have a million things to bring up to you, but one of the things I want to bring up is freaking Bloodlines. From the second I saw you, I had a question. When you found out that not only were you going to have one of the most iconic deaths in a Final Destination movie, it was the fucking teaser trailer. It was the trailer. When did you know that your death was going to be this iconic? And not only this iconic, it was going to launch the highest rated and most income producing film in the entire effing franchise. So
I knew when you guys knew.
There's no way that that's real.
Oh yeah, no idea. So they don't tell us that stuff. You know what I mean? You've done your job, little actor. Go off go. I'm not joking, but everybody's doing stuff. You don't know what they're going to use or not, right? And then I think maybe because, I think it's obvious because of the name of the show is Bloodlines. It's all about family, and Zach and Adam both said my character's sort of like the emotional backbone of the story because he's the guy trying to keep the family together and always make a good life for the kids. And originally, the first version of this, they changed it up a little bit. The first version had my character, owning a family fun park called The House. And come on down to the house and we'll have parties and games. And there's a place like this outside of Vancouver towards Abbotsford. It's called Castle Fun or something, but it's this huge recreation of a castle with all kinds of games and fun stuff and restaurant for the family. Anyhow, they were thinking about shooting there, but then they scaled it back and made it more of a intimate thing at the house. So our house, April Telek and I, husband and wife in the show, our house, it was all the parties and games and the trampoline and the barbecue. So I didn't know they were going to do that, but it makes sense because I talk about family. I talk about you don't get to pick
your
the
whole
ones
speech, your whole cheers that you do is about
toast.
Yeah,
exactly. And you don't know in movies or TV shows what they're going to pick to use or not. But I was shocked and happy that they did that because I realized the first third or half of the trailer, it's basically me.
Okay. Wait a minute. I want to bring this down to a very Steven level. I got to know. So you're sitting at home, filmed this movie X amount of months ago. You have no idea what they're going to do with the trailer. You did the lawnmower thing. You kind of know your bits. You don't maybe know the rest of the script, but your scene hand because you fucking filmed it. So you're sitting there, and the day that the trailer is posted, you have no idea that it's going to be you.
Oh no, not at all. Yeah, it shocked the hell. It was on the news. I think it was on the news or on TV or whatever. We saw it, and my wife and I literally filmed it with our iPhones. We're like, holy crap, look at that! It was quite shocking. Yeah.
Because,
I was like, wow, pleased.
That's incredible.
There's a million reasons why this movie is incredible. I'm going to read you a little bit about this because while you have done incredible things, I got to get into Stargate in a minute because that's another bit of trivia that has never. What's up?
Real quick, I gotta tell you. So I worked with Sean Bean on Snowpiercer, just doing a read through with him. And
no way, really?
Yeah. We filmed together. I just did the read through. So they hire actors to do the lunch hour read through, and I'm a really good cold reader, so I do that quite a bit. Or used to when we used to have in person pre-COVID read throughs. Anyway, but I said, hey Sean, you have a minute? I want to talk to you for something. He goes, oh yeah, sure. What up, buddy? I said, I got you beat. He goes, what do you mean? I got you beat because I've been killed at that point about 35 times in film, and you've only been killed 23. And he goes, get the F out of here. Come on, that's hilarious. So we started talking about all our deaths and whatnot. But yeah, at that point, I'd been killed around 35 times, and he was still at 20, 22, 23, whatever it was. Anyhow, but I laugh because then in the subsequent years, I was killed 5 more times. But that is officially my 40th Bloodlines with the lawnmower in the face. That's officially my 40th death on screen, or I should say in film and TV, because I got killed on one show, I get hauled off by, it was in The Immortal, I get hauled off by 2 little weird gnomes or elves that eat me off screen.
Hey, what are you doing? Come on,
Please. You don't want to do this. I'm not with her. I'm on my own. Contract gracious. Oh, no, you don't want to eat me. I don't want to go.
It'd boil me up and eat me on screen. But anyway, other than that, I die pretty much all the time.
That is incredible.
I have to ask this then, tying into that. That factoid to me is fascinating. Absolutely amazing that you hold that record. Of all the 40 at this point, and there's going to be many more to come, I predict. What is your most memorable or enjoyable death of the 40?
Okay. Well, obviously that, on the face, that was amazing. Because again, you never know what's going to hit. And they say that, I've seen that a lot. They say you never know which death or which incident or which thing on these the franchise of Final Destination is going to hit. And I didn't know, like, who knew that was going to happen? Because it's pretty unique. So I kind of had an inkling. But yeah, that was, like, people just remembered. And I was getting, like, my drinks all around.
Drinks all around.
That was becoming like a meme or whatever. And like my wife's friends at work came and said, look at this, there's hundreds of people. And there's hundreds of people doing drinks all around. And then they go to drink and then, because the glass was in there.
I got it.
I don't think you got it.
I held him off for years.
Charlie!
I want to share this real quick though, because
Sure.
I'm gonna be splicing in images while we're doing this. Sure. So right now you're gonna see on the screen, they had your death storyboarded from the early stages of this thing. Bloodlines has a 93% Rotten Tomato score, which trounces everything else. It's not even remotely close. It's directed by Zach Lepowski and Adam Steen. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm butchering names. And the thing that is so good, you guys should immediately go look at them on Instagram. They are obsessed with practical effects. So, Alex, I have seen how they did your head in the lawnmower.
3, 2, 1, action!
I saw how they did the lady in the freaking garbage truck with their head and all this other stuff.
Whole film, we really want to make sure we do things as practically as we can. And so we've come up with this incredibly ingenious rig that will come in and actually have all this metal that looks like it's crushing her, but it's all these tiny little pins that actually retract. While that's happening, she has a fake arm, and the fake arm is rigged. They trigger the pin that's inside the arm, and the whole arm separates in the same shot.
This will work, and definitely depending on which angle, like this profile works quite well.
Colton, can you do leg acting?
Bend your knee like
Yeah, that's great.
Let's roll it. Let's see what happens.
And can you push in?
And pull him in.
What's it like being on scene with directors and filmmakers that care about the practical effects versus CGI or whatever else today? What's it like for you as an actor on these sets?
Well, I'll tell you, these guys are so dedicated, and I'm going to say it straight up. Craig and Sheila, Craig Perry and Sheila Hannah Taylor, the two main producers that I worked with. Everybody cares. They actually care. They really care about the film. They're making a good movie. We went into rehearsals. This never happens. We had 3 or 5 days of rehearsals with family, doing the family scenes to get to know each other. Zach and Adam and everybody was there, and we did improvs, and they would go away and like at lunch and write stuff in that we put down and work it into the script, and they say, okay, now just do whatever, like do whatever comes up, do what you feel, right? And we come up and the dialogue would change, and then they go back and write and stuff. So that's the thing, they put so much into this film, and then that was just a few days of that. But that that was a touchstone to how they did the entire film. And all the people that did the special effects, everything like the practical effects. Todd Masters at Masters FX is a good longtime buddy of mine. They did the skull, and they did all the effects you saw. They did. These guys are masters of the craft. Like Todd created the Borg Queen from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's so talented. I'll tell you something. He's so talented. He did the movie Hidalgo, and the lead bad guy in Hidalgo. They get out to the desert, and this guy goes, "I'm sorry, I don't ride horse." And I'm like, "What? Are you supposed to ride horse?" "I won't ride the horse." So they turned to Todd and said, "Todd, you got to help us out here." Todd made a functional fake horse head out of an old carpet and 2 upturned spoons for eyes, and you cannot tell that's not a real horse.
That's awesome. God,
I
that's
know.
awesome.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. But I'm just saying the level of dedication to all these craftspeople in the film, the writers let's not forget the two writers that came up with this. Like,
Guy Busick, Laurie Evans Taylor, and
Right.
John Watt.
When I die that day, it looks all sunny and warm. Well, no, it was foggy all day, bloody cold and rainy and wet, and they just lit it so well. And Christoph, the DOP, lit it so well with everybody. And I'm lying on the ground, like freezing my back off. Like, I mean, so I'm not kidding. Like, it was like we couldn't shoot till the fog cleared. That's how cold it was, But it made it look like it was beautiful and nice. But I'm just saying, the craftsman, the dedication, and the amount of work that the people put into this film is astronomical. And I think it came out because it's just a quality. I shouldn't say a product, but it's a quality piece of work. Like I said, Craig Perry and Sheila Hannah Taylor. These guys were amazing, these producers. They were super friendly and nice. And it's like anything. You can get like jerky people, right? And jerky people treat you jerkily. Like, seriously, two of the most kind, thoughtful, caring producers. And they wanted rehearsal. They wanted a quality thing because they were relaunching the series franchise after 14 years. So they wanted the best that they could get out of everybody. And they were willing to go for it. They did a ton of reshoots on the show. If you look at, it's funny because if you look at some of the one early trailer that came out that didn't involve me, was they released one beforehand. It showed the mother, my sister, getting killed in a revolving door at the hospital, because originally she was killed in the revolving door, and you see just a brief second of it.
Only by embracing death.
Right? And then with test audiences, they said, no, we want to see the mother live and help save the kids right to the end to redeem herself a bit more. So they went back and did reshoots, and all the reshoot with them driving to the cabin and all that was all reshoots. And they shot part of that on the studio stage. Anyhow, I'm just saying that's the dedication, and the amount of time they put into it is astronomical.
This movie made $51 million domestic on an opening weekend, and it became the highest grossing and best reviewed entry into this entire series. So I think that's incredibly cool.
Good luck.
You look at the 13th Warrior. Omar Sharif said the reason he did it was because it reminded him of Lawrence of Arabia. Yep. One man's story, simply told. But the problem is this. When Disney sent it they did test audiences, and they're all like, oh, we want to see more killing. It's so slow, whatever. Okay, look at John McTiernan's films. All of his films start with character development. Die Hard, Hunt for Red October. You get to know all the characters, things happen. Then you hit a dramatic crisis, and you care because you know it. And that's exactly what Bloodlines did. Bloodlines, you got to know everybody, you got to know the people, and things happen. And then when they hit dramatic crises and people start dying, you care. Problem was, with 13th Warrior, John McTiernan said, no, this is my film. It works. Trust me. Off you go. And Disney said, no, it's our film. They fired him, got Crichton in. Crichton shot reshoots, and they cut out all the subplots and the storylines. Now, overall, it's an okay to good movie. I'm going to say that. It's an okay to good movie for me, because I know what the original was supposed to be.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
I look at the original, like for example, they cut out. You don't know any of the warriors. You don't really get to know the warriors that go on the adventure. So when a guy, Albie Woodington, we became friends on the set, British actor. He had an axe on his hand where he'd lost a hand in battle, and they put an axe on his hand. Well, he's one of the first guys to get killed in the big battle. Gets his head ripped off, whatever. The big Viking, I think, the John, 6'7" or 9-inch local actor here, John DeSantis comes and he says, "Come, Helgar, your head is going to find your hand in Valhalla," and he takes his body away. Well, you don't know what that means, because they never showed him missing the hand. They never showed his axe hand. They don't even know the guy's name. One of the guys is getting shot with all these arrows, blah, 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 blah. At the end, you don't even know who he is. So that's the thing, is they cut all the storyline and character development out. A friend of mine in the day, Claire Lipinski, she worked for 65 days on that movie. She literally does this, crosses frame once. That's it. Carrying a jug of water. She was like the lead Viking's girlfriend or whatever. You don't even see her. But this is the thing. All the subplot got taken out. If we were to see that movie, and this is what Omar said, he thought this movie was going to become a classic because if they would have released the film the way John McTiernan had done it, it would have been a classic. But they didn't, and it was okay to good. Okay to good.
Do you want to kind of recreate what it's like to be in one of your many, many deaths before you tell us what your favorite death scene was?
And I'm sorry, I got off track. So yeah, okay. It was really cool because like you're acting like you're gonna die, right? And you have to be in that mindset, right? So and I say your dad knows what it's like to go through because he recreated it. So there you go. but lying there, like they removed the blade, they take everything else, but still you have to act like it's going to happen. And the stepping on the glass just before, I've actually, when I was about 4 years old, I stepped on a spike and went right through my foot, and I was walking around with ow. So I knew that, and where they placed that piece of glass was right on the scar. Where, funny enough, anyway, but I fall, I hit the thing, and they come down, and it's a bit of foam on the inside, and then they drop it, and as it comes down, I just go like that because it's below the camera now, and then I did my twitch, blah, blah, blah. But the top of the housing where the engine's supposed to be was a compressor filled with blood and guts and facial bits, and they just barked it out. And I think we only did it twice, and then weeks later, they shot the interior where they come into the hole in the lawnmower, and you see my face getting chopped up. They shot that on a studio stage, interiors, weeks later, and they just intercut the outdoor footage with me. In terms of favorite deaths, okay, I got to say I've got 3. I got hung by Henry Winkler. I saw this. Hung by Henry Winkler. The Fonz. The Fonz hung me in an episode of The Dead Man's Gun. I got to meet the Fonz. Like, it's crazy.
Should die before I wake. It's the only prayer I know. You've done this before, haven't you, mister?
I promise you will feel no pain.
Thank you.
By order of the court, let the execution of Thomas O'Connell be duly carried out.
And then, the shooting in Outer Limits, me killing my older self, that was just poetic justice.
I am you!
And now this one from Bloodlines. It's just the 3, they're almost like 3 bookends for different reasons, so.
All right. So I'm going to bring in my nephew, Fitz. Come here, sit right here. He's the one that directed the intro bit, who's obsessed with you now. And he wants to be a future filmmaker. You guys maybe recognize him because he's retold The Invaders and what's the other one?
It's a Good Life.
The Good Life. The Good Life. All right, hold on a second. Let me put this over here. You got a question?
Say his name again. Is it Fitz, you said?
Fitz. Yeah,
hey, Fitz. How's it going?
Fitzgerald. So what's up, buddy?
What's up?
Well,
all right.
I'm doing good. Yeah, absolutely. What's your question?
How did you feel when you were going to get your head cut off? How did you feel about that?
You know what? I was really excited when I first found out I was going to get my head. I was really excited because I have been killed so many times, and I have to say it's fun. My birthday's Halloween, so getting makeup and weirdness and gory. So when I found out that's what was going to happen, I was just enthralled. And here's a bit of trivia for you. For the first time ever, like I usually have like the full-on casting of the head where they put the gelatin on you and whatever. But check it out though. What they did this time though, they have a new bar laser scanner, and they hold it and they just go over your face, and it scans your face. And you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to have that gelatin on, and then they can create that from that laser scan. So that's what we did, and I was shocked. My wife and I were so grossed out because the animatronic me that they made looks so lifelike. It's disturbing. I want to say one thing about Fitz. Fitz, you did a great job on the recreation of the trailer. You did a really great job with that, buddy. And in all seriousness, I saw you love Jaws, your dedication. I saw Jaws when I was like 7 years old. And I thought I was too young then, but I knew it was fake. I knew it was whatever, but I appreciated it. Even as a kid, I appreciated the filmmaking. My mother said when I was 3 years old, I used to put sock puppet plays on behind the couch for the other kids in the neighborhood. So this has become a career for me, this entertainment. So if you love it so much, you keep going, buddy, because you did such a good job with that trailer. I mean, you're already a filmmaker, and I mean that sincerely.
He did have some critiques. Okay, so wait a minute. Remember you were telling me earlier about the hose, right? What should we have done better about the hose scene?
that we should not have like someone has to go there and shake it a little bit, so it looks like it's actually like water just coming through.
Good point. Fitz, I'm serious. Most adults wouldn't have the critique of their own work like that. They wouldn't, honestly, they wouldn't do that. You're amazing. I'm serious. I'm not blowing smoke. You are a filmmaker. I'm not going to say anything else. You are a filmmaker, true and true. Stick to it. Keep making movies. And I think I'm going to be going to the cinema in the future and watching your movies.
Awesome. Right on. Well, thanks, dude. All right. So after all of this nonsense, I am desperate to get you to do your retelling of one of my favorite episodes of The Twilight Zone of all time. If you need to crack your knuckles and get a drink, it's time to do that. Let's see. So you're going to be retelling Changing of the Guard.
Okay.
Season 3, episode 27 of The Twilight Zone aired on June 1st, 1962, written by Rod Serling, directed by Robert Ellis Miller. Hey, Alex, since you're our guest, can you send it my way? Can you just push it? Send it through it. Just oh my God, that was oddly perfect. Professor Ellis Fowler, a gentle, bookish guide to the young, who is about to discover that life has still certain surprises and that the campus of the Rock Springs School for Boys lies in a direct path to another institution, commonly referred to as the Twilight Zone. Here we go. Shot clock enabled. Give us your retelling, starting now.
All right, the story opens with an older professor, much older professor, well beyond his retirement years, and he's teaching his classes, and it's getting towards the end of Christmas break, towards the beginning of Christmas break. And of course, you've got the sort of like the kids in the class are a little bit silly, a little bit dull, maybe, and not so bright, couple guys, and the rest are okay, and he's had like decades of wisdom to impart to these kids, and he's never quite sure, are they getting it? And so he good-naturedly sort of takes a little poke at a couple of the boys and, reaffirms others. And he ends the whole morning by saying, okay, boys, I'm sure that in the future, I have every confidence that you're going to be fine young men, etc. And you go off and have a lovely Christmas break, and he's done this probably like 50 times. He's in his 70s for sure. Anyhow, he goes off and then he's called into the boys go off, everything's good. And he goes off into the head administrator's office, and the head administrator talks to him and says, listen, we have to talk about the letter. And, oh, yes, I haven't had time to open the letters. And he's talking like, the old professor's talking, played by Donald Pleasance marvelously. It's talking like, everything's going to be fine, everything's going to be great, and I'll do this, and are you going to renew my contract? And the guy's like, well, comes down, brass tacks, he's not getting renewed, he's being retired. They're encouraging him to retire. And like this man, all this man has done is teach. He's not married. He has no kids of his own. He has a housekeeper, but his whole life has just been teaching and imparting wisdom. And at that point, he realized, I don't know who I am if I'm not teaching. And he's shocked. He's like, oh, well, okay, well, thank you. I'll go read the letter at home. But yes, thank you very much. And he exits, and a couple of the students are like, oh, look, it's old Weird Beard. Of course, because, he's the older guy. They make fun of him, but they have an affection for him, right? And he was acting funny. He looked like he was crying, and that's, kind of odd. Like, the kids you never see your professors or your elders cry. Goes home, and he won't eat, and he's contemplating suicide. He pulls a gun out of his drawer, and his maid says, come for dinner. No, I got to do this. I'm not really hungry. I'll see you later. Goes off walking into this on the campus, and there's a memorial. Gosh, it's just popped out of my head.
This is what the shot clock does to you.
The plate says basically something about like every man makes a difference if you live your life a certain way, right? And he's like, I don't think I've done any good in my life. I haven't done anything of consequence, etc. And he's about to, off himself when he hears the bell ring at school, and at night, zips back there, goes back, and he goes into his classroom, and he can't figure out what's going on with the lights out. And all of a sudden, these boys appear out of nowhere. Goosebumps.
Yep.
The boys appear out of nowhere, and it's the ghosts of his past students who say, like, listen, you taught me how to be a good human being. You taught me about duty. You taught me about pride in your work. You taught me, and all these guys are saying stuff. And they all served the country well. Some died in the war, some died fighting here. Others, they talk, and it's post-World War II America, and they talk about all the influence this man had in his life and all the good things he did. And then this old man is like shocked. He's like realizing, I have made a difference, and my life isn't meaningless without teaching. I will go on and what I did goes on and has repercussions in the world, like with my other boys that are still alive. And even the ones that died, they took solace in the fact that a part of information that I taught them has carried them through to the end of their life. Cut to back to he goes home and they're looking for him and they can't find him, and oh, he's back, and the other boys come, they sing a Christmas carol, he wishes everybody a Merry Christmas, and he talks about to his housekeeper how the world is okay, and yes, it was going to be a lovely Christmas, etc. Because he's come to realize. I think this movie is like It's a Wonderful Life, with a darker tone. The darker tone meets some ghosts, or meets The Sixth Sense maybe, because he sees ghosts. But there you go. It's a Wonderful Life.
Cheers. You made it during
tone.
the shot clock timing. Nicely done. All right, Dad, you want to set my way for the closing narration? Oh my God. All right, cool.
How'd that feel?
Pretty good, actually. Professor Ellis Fowler, teacher who discovered rather belatedly something of his own value, a small scholastic lesson in the campus of the Twilight Zone. All right, so this has always been a level 10 rating for me. So here's my 10 right over here. I have adored this episode since the first time I saw it. What do you got?
It's a 10 for me. The moral aspect of this story is perfect. The time of the year, it's Christmas, it's the holidays in real time for us right now. This is a story that transcends normal Twilight Zone genre to a point where you've got an older teacher who feels his life didn't have any value, that he suddenly realizes through amazing circumstance with the students coming back, retelling their stories, how much he impacted their lives, and he realizes my life didn't have value. The end of the story where the students are singing carols outside his window, it couldn't be more perfect for this time of the year. It's a great story with a great moral. It's fantastic. I gave it a 10.
And if I may, I'm going to tag in the changing of the guard, the whole thing and I skipped this in my brain, the shot clock got me going. But how the administrator says, well, we have to have a changing of the guard. We need younger energy, whatever. And it's like diminishing the fact that this older man still had plenty to offer. But mind you, as we see towards the end, he has given so much to all his students. Exactly. And then they carry it on. And I wanted to say this, and I mean this absolutely. I have a gentleman like this in my life. His name is Sukumar Nayar. He was my first college acting professor. He's still alive. He's in his mid-90s. He still writes a weekly blog. He's incredible. And I kid you not, in the first class we had with him, he said, if you may decide to miss my class. If you decide to miss my class, I will tell you something. I'm just doing his accent poorly. I shouldn't. But
I hope you do it the rest of the show, by the way. Keep going.
Okay, there you go. Real quick. He said, you may have an experience in my class that sends you down the path that you're meant to go on for the rest of your life and find yourself. If you miss this class, if you miss this experience, it may never come again.
That's right.
I never missed a moment of that man's class. In all my university days, I think I missed 3 days total. I have 7 years of post-secondary education because I was in the hospital for 2 days and had a funeral for 1. But you know what I mean? Like, there's moments in your life that come only once. And if you're not there to be it, you're going to miss it. And it's a wonderful life moments, and it's this and it's that. And how you are connected to everyone's life. Like, we just watched It's a Wonderful Life for the first time. It's my favorite movie of all time, by the way. I saw it at the Hollywood Theater down in Vancouver, old 1930s Art Deco film theater. And we watch it in the big screen. I've never seen the big screen. It's such a different experience with a group of people laughing and crying together during this movie. The lady behind me, directly behind me, had never seen it. And to watch it, hearing it, she's like, oh no, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Like, when Mr. Potter has the money, oh, no, what's he going to do? Is he going to keep it? No. I just love it.
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Alex, before we leave, I gotta ask you this because there's another record that you've broken. How many characters did you play on Stargate? Is it 9?
Yeah. Well, real quick clarity.
Do you have pictures like you can send me later to input here because you have played? Just go ahead and say it because I don't want to do it. I'm going to butcher it.
Real quick, you said I have over 150 credits. I now have 200 credits.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was an old. I think it was a bit at the top of an old write-up I sent you and didn't realize I hadn't edited it. Sorry, but so I have about 200 film credits. And Stargate was great. Real quick, so in the one episode alone, I played about 9 characters. I a female waitress Unas where I serve Michael Shanks, Professor Jackson a beer, and he says thank you, and I go up and I just in rehearsal I came up, I went like, and I sniffed him after he thanked me because it's not normal to be thanked, right? And because it's sealed over, the whole mask flex and it looked like the nose was really moving. And Martin Wood, the director, says, "Oh, beauty, nice, do that again," or whatever. So we kept it in. Thank you. But I played like a slave Unas working in the field, a couple in the delivering water in the streets, in the slave market. I played my main character, which was Shy One, which I based off Lou Gossett Jr. from Roots, fiddler, an indentured slave. And then I played a bloodhound Unas. It was hunting myself, which is funny enough. I was hunting my other character because I escaped, or my old man character escaped. Anyway, so in that episode alone, I played about 9. But I've played tens of thousands of characters because in Enemy Mine, or was it Enemy? No, was it Enemy Mine? Yeah, where we were the Unases, and that we at the end we had the old thing with the natives in the old westerns where there's like 1,000 Indians on the natives on the ridge. Well, they had 4 of us in Unas, and we were at different clubs in Unas makeup, and we come out and go. Arr, arr, arr. And then we change outfits and get a different club and we did about, I don't know how many times. And then they just, CGI'd all of us, right? So that, and then in another episode, I played a Super Jaffa warrior, and they CGI'd me into the thousands to create an army, me and Dan Payne. So I say I played tens of thousands of people. Anyway.
Dude, Alex, thank you again for joining. Hopefully we'll see you again in person. This was a blast. I can't even tell you how much we've talked about this and freaking recreated this at home. Thank you again. So I appreciate you coming over here.
Thanks, guys. Maybe if we come to Phoenix again, we can do another show live in your.
That would be awesome.
Right.
Okay. See you guys.
But thank you again, sir. Take it easy, buddy.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
You too. Bye.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where is this place and when is it? The answer is, it doesn't make any difference.
Can you say eggs?
Steve is.